On a warm Monday night in Morocco, the Africa Cup of Nations delivered another chapter in its long tradition of drama, ambition, and continental pride. Under the floodlights, Nigeria's Super Eagles stepped onto the pitch knowing that knockout football allows no second chances. Across from them stood Mozambique's Mambas, fearless, determined, and eager to defy expectations. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we take you inside phase, Morocco, where the Super Eagles of Nigeria took center stage against the Mozambique Mambas in this crucial AFCON round of 16 battle. Both sides entered this knockout tie with very different journeys. Nigeria topped their group with a perfect record. 3 wins, 9 points, and goals to spare. While Mozambique, the underdog, punched above expectations to reach their first ever AFCON knockout round. For Nigeria, this was more than a match. It was a statement of intent. A chance to silence critics, showcase tactical cohesion, and storm into the quarterfinals with momentum on their side. Head coach Eric Sekou Shell restored his strongest 11 after rotating in the group stages. The focus was clear. Control the tempo, limit risk, and exploit width through technical midfield support. Intelligence off the ball and quick transitions would be key to breaking down a spirited Mozambican defense. Tactically, Nigeria looked to dominate possession, more than 60% throughout the game, using compact lines, fast flanks, and incisive vertical play. In contrast, Mozambique entered with a disciplined low block designed to absorb pressure and hit on the counter. This clash of styles, structured defense versus explosive attack, set the stage for what was to unfold. And the question was, could Mozambique withstand Nigeria's pressure long enough to create belief? Or would Nigeria's quality eventually break them down? Nigeria lined up in a fluid attacking structure, often morphing between a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-3-3 during different phases of play. The midfield was tasked with controlling rhythm rather than forcing risk, while the wide players were instructed to stretch Mozambique's defensive block horizontally. Victor Osimhen operated as the focal point, not just as a finisher, but as a constant reference for Mozambique's backline. Every run, every movement dragged defenders out of position. Mozambique, meanwhile, sat deep in a compact low block, with 2 narrow defensive lines designed to deny space between midfield and defense. Their plan was clear: survive the early storm, frustrate Nigeria, and exploit moments in transition. From the opening whistle, Nigeria imposed themselves. The tempo was deliberate but purposeful. Passes were crisp. Movement was intelligent. Nigeria pressed aggressively, quickly unsettling their rivals. Within the first 10 minutes, long-range efforts tested the Mozambique goalkeeper, a sign of intent. Mozambique initially held their shape well, blocking central passing lanes and forcing Nigeria wide. But this defensive discipline came at a cost. They were pinned deep inside their own half. Nigeria began testing the defensive lines with early diagonal switches, overlapping runs from fullbacks, quick one-touch combinations around the edge of the box. The breakthrough felt inevitable. And then the pressure finally told. The deadlock was broken. Ademola Lookman latched onto a perfectly timed through ball, creating space inside the box. Wow! What a perfectly weighted forward pass splitting Mozambique's defensive line. And Ademola Lookman, timing his run to perfection, darted into space. With calmness beyond his years, he took one touch and finished decisively. This goal encapsulated Nigeria's tactical blueprint. High energy in transition, quick changes of direction, and relentless movement between the lines. Mozambique's defenders were left navigating traffic rather than tackling the ball. Nigeria had the lead, and more importantly, they had cracked Mozambique's defensive shell. That goal changed the psychology of the game. Before Mozambique could regroup, Nigeria struck again. Yes, 5 minutes later, Nigeria struck again. This time it was Victor Osimhen, alive to every loose ball and defensive hesitation. His movement inside the penalty area was sharp, predatory, and ruthless. One opening, one chance, one finish. And now it is a double blow. In the space of 5 minutes, Nigeria had turned control into command. Mozambique's game plan, built on patience and resistance, was suddenly unraveling. By halftime, Nigeria had complete command, controlling possession, tempo, and territory. Mozambique's low block was breached at every corner, and the Super Eagles headed into the break with more than just goals. They had belief. Why the first half worked so perfectly for the Super Eagle is simple. Positional rotation. Players like Iwobi and Lookman interchanged intelligently, disrupting Mozambique's marking maps. Vertical penetration from wide midfielders, offering crosses and cutbacks that stretched the Mamba's defensive line. Compact midfield control, allowing Nigeria to recycle possession instead of forcing speculative passes. Mozambique tried to stay organized, but Nigeria's pace in transition and structural overload in midfield meant every ball lost became a swift counterattack opportunity for the Super Eagles. The Mambas worked tirelessly, but the distance between their defense and attack grew wider with every minute. By halftime, Nigeria weren't just ahead on the scoreboard. They were ahead in every phase of the game. If Mozambique had any hopes of a comeback, they needed an early second-half response. Instead, they were met by a Nigeria side determined to finish the job. Nigeria emerged from the break sharper, more aggressive and more assertive. The second half began with the same pattern. Nigeria in full control. Mozambique chasing momentum. Moments after the restart, Nigeria delivered the decisive blow. Once again, Victor Osimhen found space where defenders couldn't. His positioning was immaculate, his finishing assured. The ball hit the net, and with it, Mozambique's resistance finally collapsed. This early second-half goal fundamentally crushed any hopes of a Mozambican comeback, extending the lead to 3. At 3-0, This was no longer a contest. It was a clear message to other teams at AFCON. As Mozambique began to push forward more aggressively, gaps emerged, and the Super Eagles exploited the spaces with precision. Let's dive into why Nigeria found so much success. High press and turnovers. Nigeria's forwards pressured Mozambique's build-up play effectively. Wide overloads and central penetration. Lookman's movement pulled defenders wide, opening lanes for Osimhen. Midfield pivot dominance. Iwobi and Co. ensured transitions were smooth and purposeful. Nigeria's success came from balance. High pressing without overcommitting. Wide play creating central space. Intelligent game management once ahead. This was knockout football played with discipline, not emotion. This isn't just a win. It's a statement. Nigeria now advances to face Algeria in the quarterfinals. For a nation with 3 AFCON titles, this dominant performance could finally signal a serious title push. Their attack, cohesion, and tactical discipline have never looked sharper. In the 75th minutes, Nigeria struck again. The icing on the cake came when Aker Adams fired home with authority, sealing a massive 4-0 victory and making this Nigeria's biggest knockout win at AFCON in years. The Super Eagles had delivered a complete performance, disciplined, ruthless, and mature. Talk about player analysis. Victor Osimhen. Relentless. Decisive. Led the line with poise. 2 goals. Intelligent positioning and constant threat. He is a leader in every sense. Relentless movement. Intelligent pressing. And deadly finishing. A striker at the peak of his powers. Ademola Lookman. Not just the assist machine. He was direct and fearless. He created patterns that Mozambique simply couldn't decode. Constantly destabilized Mozambique's structure. Aker Adams provided the final flourish. Energy, physicality, and ruthless execution. Showed hunger and composure. Exactly what coaches want in knockout football. Nigeria's midfield and defense. Disciplined, compact, and controlled every phase, forcing Mozambique into reactive football. The midfield unit controlled tempo, protected the defense, and ensured Nigeria never lost shape. While the defensive line was calm, organized, and rarely troubled. Hence, the Mambas were limited to speculative efforts. Here's our top 5 moments that shaped this game. The first, Iwobi's deep-lying creativity. It dictated tempo and connected midfield to attack. The second, Mozambique's tactical reset attempt, although it only briefly slowed Nigeria's momentum. The third, Lookman's opener in the 20th minute. Clinical, calculated, and courageous. It was a perfectly timed first goal. The fourth, Osimhen's first goal in the 25th minute. Textbook finish after sustained pressure. That strike shifted momentum completely. And the last, Osimhen's second and Nigeria's third goal. Truly punctured resistance early in the second half. That is the goal that ended all doubt. Thanks for watching this extended highlight and tactical breakdown. Drop a comment below. Who was your player of the match? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more AFCON coverage. Until next time, keep flying the Super Eagles.